Hello and welcome to R&R's Ask the Expert. I am joined today with Paul Silliman, who is the head of sales, right, and customer success for Clean Claims. This is not our first time.
No.
We've done this before, but today we're talking about the importance of training and how it makes a difference in water damage, right?
Absolutely. And especially, we could have 5 hours on this, but, training when it comes to understanding the why, training not only in why we're setting up equipment, how we're doing it, how we communicate it to the homeowner, but also the why behind, why we need to document these items. How do we get paid from these items? Because it's one thing to teach a technician to be extremely good at setting equipment, pulling the baseboards off, making sure we're drying the structure. It's another thing to know how our invoices come in. How do we get paid? How do we make bonuses? What are those key things that sometimes get overlooked or is assumed training that you think people will pick up that cause, missing documentation, delays in getting paid, those back and forths with adjusters over, we're missing these moisture readings for the day. Well, we all know it's not what we did, it's what can we document to help us get paid. So it's just finding better ways to help get that information out to technicians, but making sure your whole organization understands what are those key KPIs to get paid and kind of close the file, really.
Well, we've talked, if it's not documented, it didn't happen, right? And so I think that's where you guys come in, right? It's literally a step-by-step process that every single technician will do the same thing no matter what job they're on or who's handling the job. And I think that is not only consistent, but it becomes your SOP essentially, right?
That's exactly what it is. And it's not only are you streamlining, how do we, let's simplify this, we'll zoom out a little bit. Point A to point B, we have a wet house that we've been called out to. How do we dry that house, ensure it's dry, and then get paid for it? But then another challenge you have is, are we all running in the same playbook? But then also, let's say I just hired 2 new technicians that are coming from other organizations. How do we know that they're going to follow our playbook? What if, if we've learned anything in this industry, we all do things very similar, but the actual guide to get there, very, very different. So how do we know that the technician who just came from ABC Restoration is going to run the same way that we are here? And how do you actually train and establish that?
Well, I think it's an easier training tool too, right? Because you're able to have whoever is maybe your project manager or lead tech, they're able to actually hand this and hold it and say, hey, this is how you do it. Now you follow it. So it is hands-on training, actually. And I think that's one thing that's really important for our industry is in the field training, and what better way to do it than with Clean Claims?
Exactly. And that's how our system's set up, is being able to show that this wall wet should be the easiest part of your day. And, there are a lot of great software out there, but we see ours from the lens of in the field. How do we make it as easy as possible to document this, show it's wet, put it into a tool that really at the end of the day, we don't want them to have to spend all these hours in this job working, then go back to the office or go to the truck and try and remember what happened. It should be simple. Out in the field, document it, capture that information, but also the ability for your leadership team who might be in the office to see everything that's going on and can make any adjustments and changes as needed.
Well, I think this is just a bigger thing, right? Because all this is happening, and then the back end, right, of estimating and talking with the carriers on why you did certain things, it tells a story. And I think that's what we ultimately do at the end of the day, is tell a story for every single project that we handle. You guys just happen to have a solution for those who are consistently in the field and need to continue to tell the story.
Correct. And that's what I love about Clean Claims is our founder, Lane Larson, built this from the lens of he needed this in his own restoration company. That's where the genesis came from. So he started building something, and then one thing piled after another. But really, it's how do we paint the picture? I think that's the best way of saying it, because in today's world, you don't have as many staff adjusters, field adjusters that work for the company who have experience, who can pay the claim. So a lot of times it's independent adjusters, or it's going through QA reviews, or going through programs, things of that nature. Well, most of the people that are writing the check are desk adjusters now. Well, most desk adjusters don't come from the restoration background. They're more customer service focused. It's more on answering calls and emails. They're not technical experts, which is what the restorer is. So a great example of this is, painting the picture of it is, let's say we needed to get a repair on our car. Well, same thing on the auto side of adjusting. What caused the accident? What is damaged in the accident? What components do we need to fix the bumper on the car? It's the same thing in our industry. It's just how do we simplify it and give that desk adjuster, who is probably not a certified remediator,
Right.
how do we paint the picture of what happened, but also take care of our customer at the same time?
Yeah, and I think this is like a collective way to show and teach anybody that's involved, whether it's the consumer or the adjuster, why you did what you did, what time things happen. I think that's the other thing. You guys have timestamps, and there's just so many things that you guys have to offer, not just for the restorer, right? We're not talking about just for the restorer. There's text automation for your guys's customers, even maybe adjusters. I mean, I know things are changing all the time, every time we talk, and I think it's important to understand that, yes, training is key, but you have to have a tool to train around.
Correct. And it's all about having those processes and procedures in place, because we all know the biggest arguments we have in those Tuesday, Wednesday morning production meetings, which can be fun, is we're missing the photo of the front of the house. No one took a reading this day. Is the equipment still on site? It's simplifying the process down to where, okay, here's what we need on a job. Right now, there's a lot of ideas of this is what the adjuster's looking for. This is the data we need. Everyone hears data, 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 data. Really, at the end of the day, if we have 10 different items we need to close a file, how do we make sure we get those 10 items? And that's the cool part about Clean Claims is, when you onboard with us, we learn how your company works, and you can build those processes and procedures to where they're a non-negotiable step, to where I have to take a photo of the front of the house. I have to get our work authorization signed. I have to go through and scope out the work, place equipment. You can customize it to exactly how your company works, because we all know there is no one out-of-the-box solution that everyone runs through.
Exactly.
So how do we customize it, but then also make it to where if you're a brand new water tech that just got hired or a master restorer, everyone's following through the same process, because at the end of the day, consistency is what wins in this industry.
Yeah. And I think that's the other thing is consistency will ultimately help us in the longer process of all of this, right? If you fine tune what's in-house, you'll be able to communicate with the other parties. And I think that's really key, because once you're fine tuned, explaining or diving into whatever you're trying to discuss with said party is easier, because you know it inside and out. It's second nature at that point. And I think that's the other thing is, like you said, it's customizable. So some companies take 5 pictures for everything. Some people take 10. And that's the beauty of all it. And I think you guys actually do some line items with some of the pictures and stuff, right? So I think to understand in totality, you're not just training your techs what to do in the field. It's also converting into the admin side of things.
Correct. But also it's simplifying things, because we all know if we get a brand new technician who has the will to come to work, but doesn't know anything about this industry, it might take a couple weeks. We all know that just jump out of the truck and go is not the world's most effective, but they're learning how to dry. Our tool is designed to make it simple to where they're capturing all that information they need. It's simple so that you're spending less time teaching someone how to dry and more time on how to communicate with the homeowners, how to make sure the job site is clean, how to put those little things that help you stand out, because we all are in saturated markets. We can all place air movers and dehumidifiers, but it's the customer support, the text follow-up, the organization that help you stand out. So it should be simple to be able to say, here's everything we need on a file. And to your point with the admin side, a lot of the time to payment is normally because once that job finishes to when that estimate gets out, it's not like it was 10 years ago when I came to the industry, where I could go to a job, I can inspect it, I have 3 to 5 days to send it. They want those 24-hour reports right away. You have to be on site within 2 hours. You have to upload things. And that's where, with our process enforcement, not only can you get all that data, now once a job is done, your estimator has everything they need, if not before it's done, to start putting that together and speed getting all that information to the adjuster, instead of the kind of time in between that we all know. We get busy, emails come across, something's happening at home, we got a large loss that came in, all of a sudden that estimate that was supposed to get out yesterday is now Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then all of a sudden we're behind, and now it's just make it easy and streamlined.
What I was going to say to your point, right? there's no back and forth like, hey, I'm missing this, you didn't take a photo of this, you didn't document this. It's built in to work for your company in particular. But also I think it helps level up the industry, right? People are starting to be trained around their processes and procedures in a different way. I think some people prefer the hands-on, and that's what truly makes a difference for our industry. We can see we're very labor intensive, whether it is in the field or if you're behind a desk. Honestly, I feel like your brain is always moving and you're like, okay, did they take the photos right? Did they do this? Then you have the emotional intelligence side where you're talking to people. And I think with Clean Claims, it helps you put all of those pieces together to, again, paint the picture and tell the story.
Well, it's really a delegation tool. Yeah. Is you shouldn't have a project manager, an estimator, or leadership team spending all this time going through documentation or, did they take a photo? Is it time stamped? Do we have the moisture log on this date? Do we have to add it in? We've all done it. Can we do it in live time? But really, those certain roles should be delegating some of this down. They shouldn't be handling all this. Yeah. You should be able to have a technician go through and moisture map, take photos and document it, whether it's using our tool or Magic Plan, DocuSketch, Matterport. It's all about putting the process in place, because process and procedure is how you scale. You got to make it repeatable so that people can follow along. But yeah, it's just simplifying things.
And I would definitely say the importance of all training and everything goes into how we are able to scale, how we're able to build and grow as an industry. Mm-hmm. And this is just one avenue that we're talking about. We're not talking about mold. We're talking about water right now. And there's so many things for us to understand as far as the importance of training, no matter what you're doing. But in particular in water damage, that's one of the most common losses. And what better way to train your entire staff? And like you said, it is an aid to help you be more efficient and more effective. It's not to replace anybody. It's to help. It's to help level up, get more jobs under your belt, right? Mm-hmm. But also be more efficient, and then being the same way for every single job.
Yeah, and it's, with our software and then our remote monitoring as well, a lot of people are on the fence because they've had maybe bad onboarding experiences with software, or, we've done paper for so long, we don't want to change, or we see our tool is we're not reinventing the wheel. We're not blowing up everything you've done for 20 years at the company. This is a tool to where when your guys leave the job, everything's documented, everything's done, they're done. So if they're going home for the day, they're actually done. But also, if we can eliminate some of that wasted time in the office going back and forth, remembering dry logs, all this kind of stuff, you'll actually have more time to train your team on those leadership skills, on soft communication skills, things of that nature, to where, I think I've said it earlier, but showing that this wall is wet should be the easiest part of their job, not the most complicated part.
Yeah, that is very true. I think we could talk about this for about 5 hours, if I'm being quite honest. I know this is not the last time we will be doing this, but I want to thank Paul for his time today, but also, check them out. They're always all over. They ask them questions. I feel we are in one of the best industries we could possibly be in as far as communication, collaboration, opportunities to learn and grow. So thank you, Paul, as always. And for everybody watching, until next time, take care.